So as you guessed it, the first project we're gonna work on is the burb. We got a slew of stuff we're gonna do to this. Milo really wants to ride in it. But we got a slew of stuff we're gonna do to it. We're gonna do a crossover, steering, high steer kit, aftermarket sway bar. When we took it out to the dunes, some exhaust manifold bolts rattled loose, so we're gonna fix those. And yeah, and then we got some special announcement about the burb coming up at the end of the video. So I'm gonna start with fixing exhaust manifold bolts. All right, so here's what we're looking at. So this manifold bolt is missing, and then there's one in the back that's missing also. So I don't know if they just fell out or they're broken off in there or what, but I'm gonna spray some brake cleaner in there so we can clean the hole out, and then I'm gonna get a little pick or something, stick it in there and see how deep the hole goes, see if there's a bolt broke off in there or not. Looks like it goes in there pretty far. So it looks like it goes down in there pretty far. So it might just be a case of a missing bolt. Let's see if I can get this bolt the thread in there. Oh yeah. Another hole back here. Oh yeah, threads in there too. Get some anti-seize on these bolts. So the missing manifold bolts, simple fix. We just cleaned out the holes and put bolts in there. So I guess they just loosened up and fell out. No big deal. But the other thing we need to do is crossover steering and a high steer conversion. So we went to Off-Road Design and ordered everything. It all looks pretty premium. And let me show you some of the stuff here. Milo over there sleeping. Hard at it, you know. So we got new I don't even know what you'd call that thing. Steering arms, I guess. New steering arms. These go on the knuckle. Grab the wrong one. So these go on the knuckle. This isn't gonna stay up. This goes here. And then this is the passenger side, obviously. Your steering will come over and connect to the passenger side knuckle instead of the driver's side knuckle, which is where it's at now. So instead of the steering coming right out of the box and going right to the driver's side knuckle, we're going to convert it to a two-wheel drive box, and then the steering is going to cross all the way over to the passenger side knuckle, and then there's going to be a tie rod that goes in between them two. So there's going to be a tie rod that goes from passenger side to driver's side, just like this one, but it's going to be above the leaf spring instead of below the leaf spring. So it'll be pretty legit. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of figuring on how we're gonna get our steering stabilizer bolted back up, but I'm sure I can figure something out. So anyway, all of these parts, they look pretty premium from Off-Road Design. The steering gearbox did not come from Off-Road Design. I sourced that locally, but all of this stuff is raw. It does need to be painted / powder coated. I'm just gonna paint it. We're in kind of a time crunch, and I don't really even know any powder coaters around here. So I'm gonna get the truck jacked up and get it up on some jack stands, get the wheels off of it, and start with getting the steering box off, all the steering and everything out of the way, and then start figuring out what we got here. So I got the truck up on jack stands now, and I'm gonna start taking off the wheels, tires, and all the parts that are in the way for all the new parts. So let's set the camera up and get to work. Buddy. So if you guys watched the video where we put the suspension lift on the truck, you'll know that I've replaced all of the brake components up front and all the wheel bearings and everything. So this has been apart before, so it should come right apart, no issue. But getting the spindle out, that's gonna be kind of iffy because I don't know if that's ever been apart. So you give me my axle socket, Milo. Can you go give me my axle socket, Brian? Can you get
blur on your face?
Can you go get me my axle socket, Anna?
No, I gotta go in the house. I'll leave you boys to it.
So now that we got everything disassembled, you just basically just put it back together in the way that you took it apart, you know? So I've got our new spindle, I've painted it, cast aluminum. It's kind of like just the only paint I had, but I figured it looked nice. Put her up in there. So these studs that come in the kit, they just screw on the top of this knuckle here. You just screw them in all the way down till they bottom out. Short side goes down. A little bit of thread lock on here isn't gonna hurt. A little bit of that red. You just thread it down in there until it bottoms out. There isn't really a reason to beef these down in there. One other thing I should note before we get too far along here is these ball joints come with a grease cert and then a cap. So there's not really a lot of clearance in here with the drive shaft. So what you want to do is put the grease cert in there, grease it, pull it out, and then put the cap in there. Same for the bottom, because you don't want your grease cert down here on the bottom because it's going to hit something and rip it off. Next piece you're going to put on is the steering arm. Goes on just like that. Passenger side gets the 2-hole, driver side gets the single. You're going to want to put these conical washers in that come with the kit. These are kind of a pain. Sometimes they're not, they don't fit right on. Sometimes you need to take a little putting all. Oh, it's stuck up there. You just take the nuts. These are lock nuts, so there's no reason to put any kind of Loctite or anything on these. You want to torque these nuts down to 110 foot-pounds. And now you can just start putting all this stuff back on here that you took off. Alright guys, so my GoPro died again and my cousin showed up. It's Mark. So I got the center link, the old sway bar, the steering stabilizer, all that stuff off, and then I got the steering box out, and now we got the new steering box in there. There's the light. Sure. So I got the new two-wheel drive box in here right now, but there's a steering brace that goes in here also. So we're gonna put that in to keep the frame healthy, because the frame on this is actually in really good shape. So we don't want it cracking all up. So we're gonna put that on right now, and it's kind of an ordeal. So we're gonna go. So this is the big part of the steering box brace, and then this is like the little tiny bracket that goes in the front. So we're gonna put this piece on right now, and we're gonna drill a little hole, and then we'll put the other piece on. So All right, so this is what this brace looks like all installed on the back, or I guess forward of the cross member. And then behind the cross member, let's see if we can get the, that's what it looks like in there. Not too easy to install. My cross member already had a hole right in here. I did have to drill it out a couple sizes bigger and then come in here with the carbide burr and egg it a little bit to get it to go in there, but it worked. I wouldn't have been able to drill a hole right next to it, so there was really no choice. It was just too close. So I'm gonna get the lines hooked back up on the power steering box, and then we're gonna start putting all the steering stuff on.
You haven't had some for breakfast?
No. All right, so now that we've got everything installed and fitting the way we want, we need to set the toe on the truck. So most people just run it to alignment shop or whatever, which is probably what I would recommend. But another way you can do it is take a couple of straight edges. I've got one clamp to this rotor, and then I've got one clamp to that other rotor, and then just take a tape measure and measure from the front 66 and 13/16 ish, and then measure in the back 66 and 11/16. So we need to adjust our toe just a little bit. How to do that is you take the crossover or the high steer, and since one side is left-handed thread and one side is right-hand thread, you just turn the link whichever way you need to go, and it'll spin, you know, your spindle in and out. And then you just do that however many times you need to, just measure back and forth, and then spin your rod, whatever. And then what you want to do is you want to rotate your steering a couple times. Just rotate it and then take your measurement again, and then, you know, just do that until your measurement's the same. So if you want 66 3/4 on both sides, and then you'll be good. So anyway, now the important part is going to be setting the steering wheel, making sure the steering wheel is straight when the wheels are straight and all that. And that's kind of a process. So before we put the sway bar in and all that, I'm gonna do that. But first I'm gonna adjust this toe just a little bit. How to adjust your steering wheel. What you're gonna wanna do is come in and get your steering wheel straight up and down, and then tighten up all of your steering components on here. Your center link's gonna need to be tight, the crossover steering tight, the pitman arm, all that's gonna need to be tight. And then what you're gonna wanna do is straighten your steering wheel out, and then whatever way the wheels are facing, if they're facing to the passenger side, like they're steered to the passenger side, you're gonna wanna shrink this steering arm, tighten it up. It'll bring the wheels straighter. And then every time you do that, you have to go in and check your steering wheel, because as you're monkeying with it, it's gonna move your steering wheel. So you'll get all straight, and then you'll go in and your steering wheel will be a quarter turn out. So it's kind of gonna take a while, a bunch of adjustments, you know, get your steering wheel straight, come out here. Okay, we're still crooked a little bit, tighten it up, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then when you get it all back down on the ground, you're gonna go take it out and drive it. It's probably gonna be off a little bit, and you're gonna need to come in and give it a little readjustment. And then periodically, it's probably gonna come out of adjustment a little bit here and there as parts start to wear in. So you're probably gonna need to be adjusting it quite regularly for, you know, a couple thousand miles. But I've already adjusted it. Everything's all done. I've greased all the tie rods and all that, tightened all the jam nuts up and all that stuff. So I'm gonna put the sway bar in now. The sway bar goes in exactly how the old one came out. The only difference really is this U-bolt block 80 degrees out from where it needs to be from the factory. On the factory, this is turned the other way. I've already turned it around and put it this way. So this is really the only modification you need to do, is you just need to turn this block this way so it faces outward. And then you just put the sway bar back in like the factory one was. And then there's a little bit of adjustment in there that I'll go over with you. All right, so now that you got your sway bar in, which like I said, it just goes in the same way it came out, it's, you know, whatever. But this one's got a little special issue you gotta tend with. Seems though everything's pretty tight in here with the steering and everything. You have to make sure that the sway bar is centered. So what you want to do is just grab a straight edge and come off the frame and just measure to whatever reference point you want on the sway bar, and then, you know, measure the other side, and then get them two measurements the same. And then once you get your sway bar mount or sway bar centered, you come down here to your mount and you put in these shaft collars next to the mount, and that keeps the sway bar from moving side to side. Because if the sway bar starts moving too far side to side, it's gonna contact your steering stuff. So yeah, so we got this all done. The steering's all finished. I'm gonna do a little touch-up paint because it kind of nicked some stuff up a little bit, getting a little too rough with it. I'll put the wheels back on it and then go take it for a rip and see what's up. So we're out on the old maiden voyage of the Burb after the steering upgrades and all that, and it's driving really good. It's driving straight. The steering wheel's a little bit crooked, but I'll get straighten it out. But what we're really doing is I'm driving the Suburban to the airport and picking up the new owners of the Suburban. Yeah, that's right, I sold it. A gentleman that follows our channel hit me up on Instagram wanting to buy it, and which made me start thinking, you know, I've got 2 or 3 projects in front of the Suburban that I want to do before I do the Suburban, and then I got a shop I kind of want to build, which was, you know, another project, not an automotive project, but another project. So I got to thinking, like, it's going to be a long time before I can actually get to doing the Suburban in any kind of caliber that I want to do with it. So I decided that the money that I have invested in the Suburban, I could pull the equity out and put it towards other stuff that we have going on. So I told the guy a number and he agreed to it, and here we are. So going to the airport, gonna pick him and his wife up. They've flown in, and I'll leave it up to them if they want to, you know, put it out there that they bought it or whatever. But yeah, so that's where we're at. So I got another hour or so drive till we get to the airport. So yeah, let's just enjoy the last ride of the Burb and have a good time, I guess. Alright, so we just dropped the Burb off, and the new owners are on their way back to Texas with the unit. So they drove down here just fine, and no issues, and yeah, so I'm gonna miss it, and Jake's gonna really miss it. And
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
never even got a ride in it or drive it. Well, I guess I drove it around my yard.
Yeah, see? Poor Jake.
Before the springs were flipped around, so it was bouncy and hurt.
Yeah. We'll have to buy a new hot rod and you can drive it around your yard some more.
I'll go whip Brody's out in C10. Yeah, right. That'll make up for it.
You have to fight the old lady for that one. So I'm back home from dropping the Burb off. I didn't really want to film the gentleman and his wife that bought it, so it's kind of rude. But you know, they're probably halfway home by now. But I've been texting them a little bit, and they seem to be doing good. The Burb was a little wore out in the drivetrain, you know, department, so it was burning a little bit of oil, which, you know, being like 50 years old, you can expect it. But anyway, they're super excited about it, super happy, and I'm gonna use that money for some good around here. So I'm a little sad that we got rid of it. The wife, you know, Anna's really sad we got rid of it, but you know, things happen for the best. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of How's It Doing Garage. And I'm not sure what we're going to be doing next, but I have an idea, and you'll see it on the next video. So y'all be safe, and thanks for watching.